Hello and welcome to the Holistic Eats. I'm Rita Rózsás. Today is a very important part one of a two-part video series where I go in depth with what's wrong with today's professional athlete system. Because there is something absolutely wrong. Injuries are rising, athletes are getting injured all the time, burnout is on the ultimate high, and athletes retiring much earlier than they are supposed to or when they actually feel. I'm not here to bash on the current system. I'm not here to bash on clubs because both clubs and both you as an athlete, I know you are doing the best what you can. But despite that, injuries are still rising on the 21st century. When you have a 21st century medical team behind you, where you have world-class trainers, where you have everything provided for you, why injuries are still on a rise? And it's not because you are overdoing your matches or because the pressure is much stronger. It's not. And I'm going to show you why and what you actually can do about it. So let's talk about statistics. I brought a couple of statistics for you. In the 23-24 football season, across all 5 European football teams, there were 4,123 injuries. 4,123 injuries across the top 5 only football teams in Europe in the 23-24 seasons. That means it was a 4% increase compared to previous years. And what does it mean for you? That means you as an athlete had 1.83, almost 2 chances of getting injured, seriously injured, not just a little bit of an ow and bruise and things. 2 major chances to get seriously injured per season, not per the whole year, per season. If everything was to be working, you wouldn't have this kind of an average statistics. So I'm calling out the system because something is not working. Because even though you have a world-class trainer, even though because you have a world-class facility where you train at, you have a very specific training schedule, you have a personal chef doing everything for you, you might seek out or provided a psychologist or some kind of mentor or therapist. There is still a 4% increase compared to previous years, and you have 2 major chances to get seriously injured per season. Because professional sport is all about maximizing effort, is all about you performing and nothing else. But despite of the trainers, in spite of the world-class facilities, in spite of the rehabilitation system, in spite of all the support what you get, something is still not working. If it was, then injury rate would decrease and not increase. So before I go into that, I know you have noticed my absolutely gorgeous drawing. I cannot draw, not even if my life was actually depended on it. So we already talked about statistics. We already talked about the rise of injury rates, the high chances of getting injured, which means retiring early or getting some permanent damage to your body that would force you to retire. So it's all about longevity, it's all about staying healthy. But if the system was working, you would be healthy and happy and staying as long as you would wish. However, let's talk about this figurine because this is the basics of everything. Why general advice actually don't work. So let's skip everything. Let's strip away from fame, from fortune, from the things that you are. This is who you really are. This is who I am. This is a generic human being. This is all of us. That means you have a physical body. You live in a physical body with muscles and tendons and bones and lymphatic system and blood vessels. We are all the same in this manner. We are all the same because we live in a physical body. So here you go. Here is your physical body. We live in a physical body governed, controlled by our mind. Or we have a brain. And inside our brain, this is our control system that controls our whole body. And in that brain, we have our mind with our thoughts and feelings, and that's your personality. So we live in a physical body, governed, controlled by our mind, and supported. All these two are supported by good nutrition and good information. That's it. No matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are from, no matter when you were born, whom you were born, where you were raised, this is who you are. This is a general human being. We live in a physical body, governed by our thoughts, supported by good nutrition and good information. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. If this was true, if we all were the same, then general advice would work, because that's what's wrong. At least point number one is with today's professional sports system. Everything is so generic, and generic kills. Generic kills your ambition, generic kills your body, generic kills your mindset, generic will lead to burnout, generic does not work. This is generic. This is point number one. At the basics, we are all the same. So generic advice would work if we were all the same, wouldn't it? Because, let me put it in a triangle, we live in a physical body, governed by our mind, supported by good nutrition. Here we go. If I put us, our body and our system in a triangle, this is how would we look like. Body, mind, and nutrition. Please note that this is an equilateral triangle. We don't have more stress, more emphasis on our body than on our mind. Somebody might, but it shouldn't be. This is an equilateral triangle. All three sides are equally important. Here you go, body, mind, and nutrition. So if generic advice would work, then we would all look like this. But we are not. We have been born to a different countries. We had been born from different parents, with different economical background, with different belief system. Maybe you are from Northern Europe, or maybe you are southern of Africa or America. Maybe you are from Asia to, I don't even know, to Russia. That doesn't matter. The only thing matters, at the basics, we are like this. However, since we are not the same at all, we are all different. We are all different. You cannot give a generic advice. There is no one size fits all in order to get results. Okay, let me explain. Let's talk about the body. You cannot train crouch in the same way as you train with Adama Traore. Crouch is long and thin. Traore is very strong. They are completely different. The same advice, the same strength training, the same stretching, the same, specialist training won't work for both of them because they are different. One is tall and thin, the other one is very strong. Same with nutrition. Because of our different backgrounds, you cannot say that 165 grams of protein for each day is the same across to all people, no matter if it's an Asian, a European, an American, or an Eskimo, or whoever it is. You cannot say that because we are all different with different needs. Let me give you an example. My husband, who is a tall and thin type of guy, and he goes through food quite quickly, he must eat something before he goes to gym. He must eat, otherwise he won't have any energy. For me, on the other hand, I'm not the long and thin type. I have to fast for at least 2 or 3 hours before I go to gym. Otherwise, I won't have any energy. I would feel sluggish. Then I would feel like I will throw up. You cannot give us the same eat something before training advice because we are not the same people. No matter that at the basics we are, but we are completely different people. Same with mindset. You cannot get the same advice. You cannot give the same advice to Cristiano Ronaldo, who is very determined. He is very persistent, to someone who is much more sensitive, who needs more guidance, who needs a little bit more encouragement and motivation. We are completely different people. Generic advice won't work, and that's what's wrong with today's system in point number 1. So we need to go from globalization, because we are human beings. Now I'm going to give you the same nutritional, the same training, and the same mindset advice from anybody. We need to go from globalization to personalization, from one size fits all to actually individualization, to personalization, to see what's going on in your life, to see what's going on in the person. How does he look like? Because you cannot train different types of people with the same training. You cannot give the same advice to every single one of them, nutrition wise, because it's not going to work. And not to mention mindset. Mindset is so individual, depending on not just the person, but about the individual circumstances. If you were to go to a very important match, football match, and you had a huge fight with your spouse, that mindset is going to influence you. Trust me on that one. Your body is going to feel weaker. Your muscles are going to feel much weaker. You are not going to be there in your head, no matter how much you say you cannot just close it down. You cannot just push it away, because your body doesn't work that way. You need individualization. You need a personal advice, which is actually situation specific. That is a long story to say that today's system is only broken because it gives you generalized advice. General advice would kill your career, kill your performance, and would kill your future as well. You need to go from general, and you need to go there. You need to open your mind. You need to go from general to a very specific, personalized advice for each one of them, or each one of you as an athlete, in order to perform and give your best. This is end of part 1, and in part 2 I'm going to show you why there are gaps in the system, and if you don't fill those gaps, they are gonna cost you with recurring injuries, with persistent injuries, and what's going to make you, to force you to retire early.